Well, good afternoon and welcome to the 2016 Annual State of the Village Address. And I'd like to thank the Lombard Chamber of Commerce for having me here, and special thanks to Yvonne and Donna for all their hard work. I know this is quite a project, so thank you. Where did Mom go? Oh, sorry. I would like to take this opportunity to thank my lovely wife, Angela, and my beautiful daughter, Ashley. My son, Joseph, couldn't be here. I'm praying he's at school, for showing up today. And we do have two very special guests that I know they've already been acknowledged. Glen Ellen Village President Alex Demos, Village Manager Mark France. I'd like to thank you personally for coming. You know, a few years back, the relationship between Lombard and our friends to the immediate west was, to say the least, a bit strained. And I think it proves the fact that we've now moved forward. We are personal friends, and I think that bodes well for both villages. So personally, thank you both for coming. Well, I'm proud to be here today to tell you that the state of the village is strong. Lombard has come a long way since my first State of the Village address in 2014. But it's not where you've been, it's where you're going. Today, we're here, To get where we are today, it really does take a village. And I certainly don't work alone. I'm joined here by our Village Board of Trustees. And the people on the board, I was going to announce you, but Yvonne took that, so everybody knows them. And thank you all for coming out, and thank Dan. But I know I speak for our board when I say that our accomplishments would never have a shot of becoming a reality without the hard work of the 279 members of our village staff, who, by the way, are some of the most dedicated and committed professionals that I have ever met. I do want to take a moment to shine a light on one of our staff members in particular, who recently celebrated a milestone 50-year employment anniversary with the village. Gee, I can only guess who could that be. Carol Bauer. You know, we have a photo of Carol when she first began with the village 50 years ago as a police dispatcher. No, but in all seriousness, I just want to say thank you to Carol for her many years of dedicated service to this village and for many more to come. Carol, thank you. I mentioned earlier how far we've come as an organization over the past few years. As a board, we've tackled some pretty difficult issues, managed to disagree without being disagreeable, and even gotten through a few board meetings, believe it or not, under a half hour. So this year, rather than go through the highlights department by department, I wanted to change things up a bit and shed some light on how it is we do what we do. We want to give you a peek behind the curtain and give you a behind-the-scenes look at how we work together to achieve our common goals effectively with our committee structure. Not everyone knows this, but we have more than 80 community residents currently serving on our 6 standing advisory committees. Many of those people are here with us today. Please raise your hand if you serve on a Lombard committee. And we all thank you for your service. Each of our committees is made up of qualified residents like these who volunteer their time and expertise. Each committee is chaired by a village trustee and functionally linked to a village department and staff member. These advisory committees take on projects and initiatives to develop educated and thoughtful recommendations to the village board on policies, directions, and programs. Those short board meetings I mentioned, they're not short because there's nothing going on. We're busier than ever. It's because our committees have vetted the issues and have done some of the initial heavy lifting for the board. And if you want to see true democracy in action in the village of Lombard, go to one of our committee meetings. So our first committee is the Community Relations Committee, chaired by Trustee Robin Pike. Just as it sounds, this committee focuses on our relationships as a village with the public. In addition to working on community services and programs, this committee is tasked with overseeing our public communications efforts. We are an organization that values openness and transparency. I brought an example of the types of situations that Robin specifically and her committee are working hard to avoid.
What we've got here is failure to communicate. Some men you just can't reach.
This past year, the Community Relations Committee recommended and the Village Board approved a new communications policy. The policy provides for structure for the village's communications efforts. And you may have noticed the village's new approach towards responding to anonymous comments in the Speak Out section of the Lombardian. Where we previously offered no formal response to published questions or concerns, we now work with the Lombardian editor, Bonnie McKay, each week to publish official response. So thank you, Bonnie. This policy allows the village to respond to residents' concerns and demonstrates our commitment to communications and transparency. That being said, I still tell people, if you have a question, pick up the phone and call us directly so we can get a real live person to answer your questions immediately. But if you'd rather call an answering machine and get your response in the next week's paper, like they say at Burger King, have it your way. We continue to see major growth in our social media last year, including Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. These platforms allow us to share news as it's happening. Our Facebook likes and Twitter followers have doubled this past year, and we're now using new technology like Periscope to broadcast live feeds. You lost me there. For those of us who don't tweet or Periscope, the village sends out a weekly e-newsletter with important updates and events directly via email. And if you aren't already signed up with us, please be sure to give us your email address before you leave on one of the sign-up sheets located in the lobby. Trustee Mike Fugel and the Community Promotion and Tourism Committee oversee the hotel-motel tax budget and the funding support for special events that encourage local tourism. This is really our unofficial event planning committee focused on making Lombard an overall great place to visit. I recently stopped by to see Mike and the committee members hard at work the other day, and I managed to get some rare footage that I'd like to share with you. The morning after I visited that committee meeting, I signed an ordinance into law that we restrict alcohol at all committee meetings. And I love that movie, by the way. Seriously, though, in 2015, the committee approved 8 grants for events like the Lilac Parade, the Lilac Time Art and Craft Fair, Spooktacular, Jingle Bell Jubilee, and with a total of more than $60,000 in awards through the local tourism grant program. And when you add that cost in with the village services and the cost for events that we run ourselves, like cruise nights, our summer concerts, as well as the 4th of July fireworks, the total committee funding for events in 2015 was over $174,000. Funding for these events comes from hotel taxes paid by visitors to Lombard and is a reinvestment that comes back to us in the form of additional hotel stays, food, beverage, and other local sales. In fact, this year, Mike and his committee are working on a program to incentivize large group bookings to stay in Lombard hotels. And I understand that we've already had initial interest from a group to book an event that would generate more than 1,500 room nights. Not everyone realizes the direct impact tourism has on our village. In 2014, tourists to DuPage County generated $2.4 billion and produced more than $40 million in local tax receipts for DuPage communities. This adds up to approximately $1,300 of annual taxes the average DuPage County family does not have to pay. So when it comes to special events within the village, I do want to take a moment to discuss the work of a related committee that was created this past year to develop recommendations for our board specifically concerning community events and festivals, the Lombard Pride Committee. This ad hoc committee researched neighboring community festivals and issued an RFP seeking proposals from local nonprofit groups to run a new event within the community. While no group has stepped forward yet to submit a formal proposal, the village board has accepted the following committee recommendations: that the village continue to host a 4th of July fireworks display, that the village will continue to plan, support, and fund year-round special events, that the village will keep the door open for new proposals when groups are ready to host or propose new events, and that the village will continue its commitment to communicate on these issues with the public and local nonprofit organizations. We do look forward to another wonderful year of special events and possibly of receiving ideas for new and creative community festivals. So that brings us to our next committee. Trustee Dan Whittington serves as the chairperson of our Public Safety and Transportation Committee, which is responsible for overseeing public safety matters within the village. Community safety really is our highest priority, and public protection is an essential core service of local government. Take a look at this clip and imagine what it would happen, God forbid, something was to happen and occur in Lombard. Now I ask you, if something like this were to happen here, who are you going to call? Obviously, Lombard Police and Fire. Our police and fire departments are here for you because sometimes things do go wrong, and we have the numbers to prove it. In 2015, the Lombard Police Department received and responded to more than 17,000 calls to 911. And I know that recently, we've all heard negative news about police departments around the country and closer to home. Some police officers in nearby Chicago and Fox Lake have cast dark shadows on the rest of the men and women who serve their communities with honor and with integrity. But that's not us. The Village of Lombard Police Department is a CALEA accredited agency that chose to be accredited by CALEA must demonstrate that they are willing to comply with standards that exemplify the best practices in law enforcement. To put it in perspective, out of a total of 701 local police departments, Lombard is only one of 44 in the state to achieve this accreditation. One of the CALEA standards is excellence in transparency and accountability. The Lombard Police Department ensures this with annual examinations of current issues important to the public, such as the use of force by officers and bias-based policing. Audit systems are also in place to ensure responsible management of funds and confiscated evidence. While we hope that Lombard will never have to be faced with an active shooting situation, we can find comfort in knowing that our officers have taken part in ALIS training, which provides them with the hands-on experience needed for this type of emergency. Our police department also participates in ongoing training pertaining to crisis intervention and how to respond to persons with mental illness. All personnel are trained on how to best handle these situations, and we have specialized crisis intervention teams. Just like our police department, our fire department is continually forging positive relationships within our community. Our fire department is an extremely busy one, responding to more than 6,000 calls in 2015. The Lombard Fire Department also hosted several community events this past year. Their recent toy drive and toy parade raised over $3,000 of cash donations and more than $10,000 worth of toys and useful goods for Lombard organizations. Last year, our fire department also presented a check for more than $2,000 from funds raised through their Pink T-shirt campaign to Good Samaritan Hospital's Cancer Care Center to purchase wigs for women in treatment. We can't say enough about our police and fire departments. If something ever does go wrong at my home, I'm glad to know who I'm going to call and who will be there if I ever need them. Thank you. The Public Works and Environmental Concerns Committee, chaired by Trustee Bill Ware, oversees infrastructure maintenance and improvements as well as matters concerning health and environmental quality within the village. Our public works crews care for our roads, trees, sewers, and other utilities in all types of weather and at all hours. No matter the project or situation, they are always ready to pull together in service with a true spirit of collaboration. If you want to see what I mean, here's some footage of our crews gearing up in the latest preparation for the latest round of snow operations. They really are coordinated. While public works and infrastructure maintenance aren't always on the forefront of people's minds, they are the types of things that should not be taken for granted. First off, I'm happy to report that all of the village's emerald ash borer infected trees have been removed. In total, more than 3,000 ash trees have been removed since 2009. These trees were weak and potentially unsafe. Removing them prevented fallen branches and potential harm to people and property. Our operations division maintains 166 miles of village roads, which, by the way, is the same distance from here to Madison, Wisconsin. Our maintenance responsibilities include resurfacing, patching, crack sealing, and of course, salting and plowing. One of the major accomplishments of 2015 involving our roads was the reconstruction of Lombard Meadows and Lombard Circle neighborhoods. 2015 brought big changes to downtown Lombard. The engineering division oversaw the expansion of the Hammersmith parking lot, and we worked closely with the Union Pacific Railroad and Metra to complete the beautiful new commuter station and underpass tunnel, which provides safer passage and connects the north and south of downtown Lombard. Looking ahead, the village will soon begin a 2-year project to line the water mains along Roosevelt Road corridor. To help make this project as painless as possible, we will be focused on providing business owners and residents with timely and useful information throughout the process. Our utilities division maintains our water mains, sewers, and pumps 24/7. In 2015, they also completed the installation of 14 generators at various locations. Will be used to pump water and prevent flooding, even in times of electric service failures. This makes Lombard a more resilient and storm-ready community. 2016 will bring a new pumping station at Route 53 and Phillips Court, and the beginning of stormwater-related work around Gates Pond. These projects continue the village's commitment to improving stormwater management in Lombard. Guided by our approved capital improvement program, Public Works will oversee more than $22 million of needed public improvements by the end of 2016, focused on preventive maintenance and the long-term preservation of our local infrastructure. Trustee Bill Johnston and the Economic and Community Development Committee, or ECDC, oversee all development and redevelopment matters within the village. Our goal is to get it built so they will come.
People will come, Ray.
Lombard continues to attract new businesses and investment. Last year, we issued over 2,500 permits, which is our largest total in a decade. And these weren't simple fence permits. These permits reflect private investment of over $82 million in property improvements in the community. Lombard welcomed 148 new or relocated businesses in a wide variety of commercial, office, and industrial spaces, including international businesses from Sweden and Japan. And we have many, many more on the way. The village is continuing to facilitate business activity, including the Keystone Properties redevelopment of the former Lombard restaurant site on Butterfield Road, as well as a new Dunkin' Donuts adjacent to the AMC movie theater. We are also pleased to see continued growth in the residential market, with many more infill and subdivision opportunities forthcoming. New developments like Park Place of Lombard and Highlands of Lombard demonstrate how the village can work with the development community to advance innovative housing and designs along vacant and distressed sites. Yorktown continues to bustle. Throughout 2015, village officials worked diligently in partnership with Yorktown to develop a long-term plan for the northern portion of their site. The Yorktown Commons development will consist of a mix of residential and supporting commercial use. This proactive approach will help guarantee that our mall will remain a primary retail destination and will be developed in an innovative and exciting manner. Downtown Lombard continues to thrive. Businesses including Marquette Kitchen and Tap, Shannon's Deli, Mesa Electronics, Mesa Home Video, and Lori's Jewelry have been able to renovate or build out thanks in part to our various grant programs. We also must recognize property owners such as Tom Smith and Clark Orthodontics, who undertook significant investment to rehab long vacant sites into thriving retail and office spaces. Their visions will bring about additions like Babcock's Grove Restaurant in the old hotel and Pioneer Daycare at the old Dog and Suds site. The village's new economic incentive policy helps to increase Lombard's desirability to new businesses. The village continues to work closely with Sam's Club on their final development plans. Construction will hopefully begin this summer on their brand new building on Butterfield Road, and we anxiously await this project to be coming to fruition. Yeah, that word. I screwed it up when I was practicing too. This policy will be a tool the village can use to attract new businesses at key properties including Kmart and Mr. Z's. In addition, we currently have several other incentive agreements under development and pending village approval that should lead to enhanced economic development in 2016. And I'm pleased to inform you that we have taken great strides in simplifying the process of doing business with the village by providing additional online permitting features and amending local business codes to simplify the development process. We've had a lot of great developments over the past year, and again, many more to come. And it's difficult when you give a speech like this, you go from formal to informal, but there's a couple things out there, and I guess the best way to relate to it is the village has a couple of really big pizzas in the oven. And they're spinning around, and I'm watching the oven. I don't normally do that anymore, but I'm watching the oven. And just envision, the pizzas are almost done, and everybody wants something to eat, but they're not done. And if I took it out and gave it to everybody, I'd ruin the pizzas. So be patient. The pizzas are almost done. You'll be the first to know, but I can guarantee it's almost dinner time. The Finance and Administration Committee is chaired by Trustee Reed Fultonevich. Reed and his committee have their work cut out for them as they volunteer their time to face difficult financial concerns. We have three things to talk about when it comes to the budget: the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good news is that we all worked together to approve a fiscally sound budget for 2016. We held multiple budget workshops and had many long discussions about where money would be most responsibly allocated, and our 2016 budget shows it. This year's budget is balanced, and we were able to keep our overall discretionary spending increases to less than 2%. But developing a balanced budget means give and take. Some of the decisions that we had to make to balance our budget weren't easy, but they were necessary. The bad news is that due to unfunded mandates, our budget forecast for 2017 projects a $1.6 million deficit. It's a big number, I know. But this is where our Finance Committee has already started reviewing all kinds of options and has begun taking a hard look at potential expenditure reductions, revenue increases, and service level modifications. The truth is that there's a lot of hard work ahead, but the important thing is we're not ignoring it. We're choosing to be responsible and proactively identifying solutions, and we will. We are not a kick the can down the road kind of board. We are working to solve our long-range problems now because it's the right thing to do. It's the responsible thing to do. And that brings us to the ugly. The state of Illinois has started 2016 without a budget. And as of now, municipalities are currently receiving their share of the state's income tax, otherwise known as LGDF, from which the village of Lombard obtains approximately $4.6 million annually. Governor Rauner had proposed cutting the LGDF payments by half. And while this has not happened yet, this cut could amount to up to $2.3 million of village funds being diverted back to the state of Illinois. Our village board and committees are keeping the state's troubles in mind while developing our long-range budget plan. We will continue to advocate for full funding of LGDF, and we will oppose any attempt by Springfield to claim money slated for distribution to Lombard. At this point, everyone should stay tuned on Springfield as we hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. But you don't have to look to the state to see what a broken system looks like. In our own backyard, the College of DuPage board has been popping up in the news a lot, and unfortunately, it's not for good reason. Here in Lombard, we've worked hard for your vote of confidence, and we will continue to work together to keep the village running smoothly. So what does that all mean for you? What does it mean to be for the chamber and its members? And in this state of unrest and in these chaotic times, Lombard is solid. Lombard offers stability. Lombard promises businesses that we will work with them to open their doors and do what we can to keep them open. Our village board gets things done. Our political stability makes us a good investment for new development, long-term businesses, and expansions. And I can see some real themes with this board. We are genuinely committed to working together. Part of that commitment is that everyone communicates proactively to eliminate surprises and ensure that no one on the board ever feels unprepared and we are focused on making an uninformed decision. We treat each other with professional respect and personal courtesy because we know that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Quite honestly, we talk to each other. We won't let the state of our village be harmed by ignoring tough challenges. We're going to use the resources we have, our residents, our committees, and our collective commitment to come together and solve these issues. Facing our challenges strengthens our community, a community that we are honored to serve, and a community that we will do our best to protect and keep strong. So our goals are clear: to recognize the issues ahead of us and to meet them head on with teamwork, mutual respect, and a desire to achieve success. With your help, Lombard will continue to be the best place to raise our families, enjoy our lives together. So I'd like to leave you with this as we move forward. We all know that we might not agree on everything. We might be in separate camps when it comes to the big, important things, like the White Sox versus the Cubs. But we know that we will always work it out and find a common ground, and that we can all agree on one thing, and that's the Blackhawks. So go Hawks! Thank you for coming out today. God bless you, and God bless Lombard.